Hello everybody, this is part 2 of our Genesis Mini 2 discussion here on Fine Time. Part 1 was a couple weeks ago. If you missed that, you can check the description of this podcast to hear part 1, but if you're all caught up, let's continue to part 2 right now.
It's time for Fine Time.
All right, we're back, we're refreshed, we're ready to talk some arcade ports. But a word before we start talking about these arcade ports. Yes, we have already talked about many arcade conversions already in this podcast, such as Midnight Resistance or Hellfire or whatnot. However, in this section, we're just going to talk about the games that we're actually familiar with from the arcade. Like I don't know about you, Vin, I had never played Midnight Resistance or Hellfire or whatever at the arcade. So
I did not, yeah.
You're right. So we can't really contrast and compare those, but with these we can because we have actually played them for realsies. So let's start with Afterburner II, because it's one of those early super cool Genesis ports, right? Because like if you think about it, back in the I always call it the pre-Sonic days. That makes it sound like the Genesis wasn't popular before that, which is not true. But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of arcade ports were kind of the system's bread and butter, even bullshit like Altered Beast or whatever, right? Like just bullshit games, but people like that, but whatever. But it was impressive, right? Because you got the arcade at home more than the NES. And Afterburner 2 was one of those for me anyway.
And Afterburner 2 on Genesis controls really smoothly. I think it really encapsulates a lot of the frenetic sort of airplane combat of the original. And something that's pretty hysterical is that this is a lot smoother than the Space Harrier 2 port, which is practically infamous at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, maybe because Space Harrier 2 was like a launch game, like literally like a launch game, but like, and this wasn't necessarily Afterburner 2, but what did they figure out in between then and there that made like, I don't know. I'm glad they figured it out though, because like Afterburner 2 and Outrun and shit like that and like Super Hang On do not like suffer at all from this.
Yeah, you mean your vehicle doesn't like stutter like on screen? That's amazing. It's miraculous, right?
The original Space Harrier 2 is unplayable, man. Like Jesus.
With Skippy, but I guess a year and a half will really bolster your chops. I mean, you get your hands on some hardware for a while and you'll really understand how to really make it work for you. But when you're pushing out something for launch, all sorts of shenanigans can happen, right?
For sure, yeah. I guess they just didn't have the chops at the time. But Afterburner 2, this is a good conversion. There isn't a whole lot to say about it. I mean, everyone knows what Afterburner is. I just, it's good. This is a good, fascinating version of the game, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
So one on here that I was really glad to see, because it solved a mystery in my head, was Viewpoint. So Viewpoint is a Neo Geo game originally, and this is obviously the Genesis conversion. And this was one of my favorite Neo Geo games back in the day, just because of how unique it was. It was an isometric shmup. You don't really see many arcade games from that perspective, let alone a shmup. And it has like pre-rendered graphics because 1994, whenever it came out, high time for that shit. As for the conversion, the Genesis lack of color depth in this case really kind of lets down the visuals, but the gameplay holds. It still manages to be pretty fun and like a good version of a unique shmup. And the reason why I said like this confused me for years is because I could mixed up Viewpoint with Polestar and Last Resort invariably for years, 2 other Neo Geo shmups. And as Polestar came out on Arcade Archives Neo Geo, I was like, oh, that's not the game I thought it was. And then Last Resort came out, and I was like, wait, that also wasn't the game I thought it was. So what the hell game? What the hell game am I thinking of then? And it turns out to be Viewpoint.
And you know what also really bamboozled us is that Viewpoint to this day I don't think has been released on Arcade Archives Neo Geo either, so that's even worse.
No, it hasn't. I think it's made by Sammy, which, a Sega property now, right? They've kind of become one on the spiritual sexual level. So
They
like,
are. That's weird. Yeah, I wonder why it didn't really work out. Yeah, I don't know. That's funky. But
yeah, it's really strange. And as we know, they're done doing the Neo. They've said they've done all the Neo Geo games they can that they have the rights to already. So,
but I mean, this is still a fun way to experience that content. Though I admittedly didn't know of the arcade version before I dived into this. So like this was new to me when I first played the Mini too, and I think the isometric perspective does work for the game. It's pretty entertaining. Everything pops in its own way. I think there's like giant shadows. Do you remember the shadows? Or like there's like pseudo 3D elements kind of like around you. Well, I guess pre-rendered elements really, but
they really work though.
Yeah.
And it runs at a good clip. It didn't lose a whole lot of the frames of it. That's kind of the thing though with the pre-rendered stuff, especially when it comes home, whether it's like Killer Instinct or like other stuff that's pre-rendered elements that they need to squeeze in a cartridge. But Viewpoint does a really good job. It keeps like, those like spinny things in the first stage where you open the gates, those still have a lot of frames and stuff.
They do, yeah. I'll just snap back to looking at thinking of Killer Instinct Gold's like frames and like there's some animations that are cut. I mean, it still works, but
yeah, but in 64 they did the best they could. I mean, it's better than the SNES. I mean, the SNES game is trash, as we all know. The N64 game is at least a reasonable facsimile. I think they did it because they made a good call making the backgrounds 3D, which is probably a lot easier on the hardware.
No, it fits the hardware a lot more, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, Viewpoint is a really just super cool, fun conversion. Did the isometric view bother you at all? I'm sure anyone listening to this sounds like, isometric is like terrible for a shmup, but it actually does work.
It really honestly didn't bother me too much, though, like, the controls really work for it in a way, whereas like some other isometric games kind of like shoehorn it in a way that kind of feels a little weird. But like, I didn't really feel like this perspective was shoehorned in any way. And I think it works just because it's kept pretty simple, relatively speaking. If they try to do too much, I can see it probably would have bothered me more. But I think it was fine here.
Yeah, I imagine naming your shmup though after the viewpoint, after literally the perspective of your game. Yeah, your literal viewpoint of the game. It's called View. I mean, like, it's so weird, but
it's a little weirdly hoity-toity. The Zaxxon should have beat them to the punch, right? Sega should have named it Zaxxon Viewpoint or Zaxxon. I got nothing. I don't even know.
Okay.
Zaxxon 3D.
Thank you. Like Xevious 3D plus Google Plus or whatever. All right. We need to talk about the Ninja Warriors, which I gotta be honest, when we were looking through like the CD games that were coming, the Sega CD games that were coming to our version of the Genesis Mini 2, I didn't see this on there. It was kind of a surprise when I got it. I just thought like they would have like, I was surprised to see the two Taito games, Ninja Warriors and Night Striker.
Yeah, I actually honestly keep forgetting that those existed in CD form. I mean, truthfully. So, like, this was a pretty welcome surprise to me, too.
No, I just mean, like, on our version, I just didn't think we were getting those.
Oh, on our version? I feel like it's a bad idea to not do that. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have been like, well, here's Sewer Shark and Night Trap and,
Those are all the ones that you're getting.
Yeah. Here's your American Trash, right?
Oh my god.
So we don't really want to talk about the Ninja Warriors. I mean, we do, but what we're after here, when you start the game, there's start, options, and Zuntada. Now, if you don't know, Zuntada is the name of Taito's in-house band that made all the Taito music. Zuntada. So there's a Zuntada mode. And then when you load the game, it doesn't say Taito. It says Zuntada Sound Team or whatever. It's like a splash screen.
Sure
also
does.
Along with Taito. So
sure does. They get their own mode.
That's probably for a reason, right? So when you choose Zuntada mode, it's not actually a mode. It's what you could maybe back in the day, kids, what you would be known as an extended music video. where you'd have like story pieces before and after, like, you know, if they really wanted to make their video like a big deal, like Michael Jackson or whatever, instead of just the song. So you could kind of describe it as one of those, but then I don't even know, where do you begin describing what's in this video?
Yeah, I think extended music video kind of like captures some of it, but like I don't really know. Like I've been trying to think to myself, if I had to like summarize what happened in this mode, I can't really tell you, because I mean, like, they literally say the Ninja Warriors prologue on screen, so like I guess that's what they were getting at, like literally the events happening up to the game, and you do see some stills of like robots schematics and stuff like that, right? So I mean, I suppose they're describing those things, but are they really describing those things? Because all I really saw was like capturing stills from presumably Zuntata live concerts and injecting them into this mode.
I swear to God, that's what happened. Because like at the beginning, they're talking about like the you know, all this technology, we need to execute this plan, blah blah blah, the Bay Area, blah blah blah, and then by the way, all of this is in English. Like this has Japanese subtitles, so you know it's good. If it has English voice acting in Japan with Japanese subtitles, you know we're in for some shit.
They're going for a vibe. I love that freaking NorCal map, by the way. It's apparently happening in my backyard.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
It's so weird.
And then like he's like, by the way, none of this is animated. It's all like stills. Right? Like it's all just like picture stills the whole time. So our protagonist or whatever actually goes to San Francisco and he's like, there are prostitutes and drugs on the street. What an interesting city. And just like all this like crazy stuff. And it's just like, man, I swear to God, this like, is this what Japan thinks of us? And then like we go to the nightclub or whatever, and he talks to a bunny girl that is definitely a Japanese voice actress, like doing her best English. I mean, she's doing her best, but you know, what can you say? And then the Zuntata concert begins, and they begin playing the first stage song, Daddy Mulk of Ninja Warriors. But it's like, I swear to God, they just had a concert in San Francisco and just wanted to make a mode out of it. I swear that's what they were doing.
I think that's all it really is, because I mean, like, I think there's a detective, and I think he's trying to investigate the meaning of Daddy Mulk as like a phrase, maybe, but like, I have no idea what is going on. He's like talking to a disembodied head or something.
That was so weird. Yeah, after the performance, like he's just talking to the head. And he's asking them about Daddy Mark, not Mulk, Mark. Which, so like, oops.
I got so confused because I'm like, wait, the song is called Daddy Mulk, right?
I can't believe we're talking about something called Daddy Mulk so like normally, like just as if that's like an everyday thing to say.
Yeah. I think if you're in the Zuntata sort of train, I think all bets are off at that point. But what do we know?
Yeah, man. Anyway, this was wild. I implore anybody within the sound of our voices, go on YouTube and look up Ninja Warriors, you know, Sega CD Zuntata mode or whatever. Like, you have got to see this. It is so ridiculous.
It's so crazy. It's also possibly not a mode.
Yeah, it's not a mode. It's not a mode. It's a video. It's Zuntata video. They should have just said, remember VCDs, video CDs? Like, that's probably what the kind of thing you distribute on one of those, right?
Oh, yeah. Sure. I can remember that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, VCDs.
VCDs, my God.
So I guess we can talk about the game proper. Like, you know, it is an arcade port, but I mean, it is just Ninja Warriors. But, you know, the original game had a very, very wide screen, just like Darius. So, you know, we're squashing it down to 4:3 here. And I don't know, what did you think of the vert conversion, Zuntata mode aside? I
gotta tell you, this felt pretty arcade accurate so far as I was concerned, because I feel like it zooms in a way that makes it sort of work. And in general speaking, I think this is a pretty good way to experience this game. I don't feel like it was really missing out for the lack of a ultra widescreen, however you want to refer to that. But it handles well, and I think the enemy patterns were largely sort of intact.
Yeah, I still don't really know what to do about that stupid ass tank. I don't think I actually know how to kill it.
I looked it up and like it claimed the shuriken the guy, but I tried doing that and it wouldn't really work most of the time. So I'm like, I did it once out of like a bunch of times, and I'm like, but what if you don't have shuriken? Are you just like fucked? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird, right? Like, and how do you get him to appear? I don't know. But
I mean, I guess you're supposed to wait till he starts firing, but if you don't shoot at the right time, you're just like, you're done. And it kills you so fast too. It's like you're dead lickety split. And you only have like, I think 3 credits in this Sega CD version. So I've done several run-throughs and I've blown through this 3 credits because of the fucking day.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I guess you could say that like the super widescreen stuff that was always more of like a visual gimmick than like a real gameplay changer, because neither this Ninja Warriors port or Darius or Super Darius, if you will, on PC Engine CD suffer from being on a quote unquote like regular screen, in my opinion.
Yeah, Super Darius is just fine to me, quite honestly. I mean, like, it's nice to be able to see that much, but you don't necessarily have to, right?
It's not necessary. It's just it's cool, but it's not integral to gameplay. What soundtrack do you prefer? Like the original or the arranged, the Zuntata version?
It's so hard for me to pick. I've been going back and forth, but I think the original has like a bit more punch to it, but the instrumentation in arrange is so good. Like the stage 2 slap bass, like my god, man. Like I don't know where you lean, but I would assume you probably like arrange more. I mean,
arrange is more my style, but it's the original is so good. I love those Zuntata like late 80s 16-bit. Like that's my favorite 16-bit sounds, basically. So it's very hard for me to vote against that.
Yeah,
but
I definitely would say Daddy Mulk on original, but like otherwise, man, I don't
see.
Really
I like
know.
Daddy Mulk more in arrange.
Okay.
Yeah. See, so I don't know. I don't know.
I like that Zuntata instrumentation though. The da 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 da. That's like what? It's just a uniquely Zuntata sound.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yeah, I have one more aside real quick. I don't know if you dove into that menu, but the options menu is like insane.
What? Like
I think it plays sound effects of enemies getting killed, and like eventually, like when the song loop is over, like there's just an explosion or something. Maybe I just imagined this shit. Like maybe I'm going crazy, but
I don't know. I didn't mess with the options too much. So
okay.
I have no idea. Maybe I'll have to go back and look.
But, it's so funny. Oh my god. I was like, wait, this song didn't really exist otherwise, right? So I don't think so.
Maybe it did. Maybe it did. I don't know.
It's possible. Yeah, maybe. I'm just forgetting something.
I don't know. But okay, let's talk about Final Fight CD, something near and dear to our hearts.
We're both super into Final Fight, man.
Yeah, we've played every version ad nauseum, probably, right? And here's yet another one, right? So
do we do it on Vita, like local wireless? Maybe.
Yes,
kind of big.
Yeah. Capcom Arcade something or other on PSP via Vita on ad hoc 2-player gameplay.
Ad hoc. That's right.
Yeah. That's crazy. How crazy we are. We've played Final Fight every fucking way possible. So, have we ever actually played it together on Capcom Beat 'em Up? I think that's like the only thing we haven't done.
I believe we've not.
Yeah, I don't think we need to rectify that. Okay. Let's just get right into this because we love Final Fight, so we're really going to get into this one. That intro, famous to us for many years for the voice acting. Before we get into that though, I did think it was interesting that now in Final Fight CD it says sometime in 1992 instead of sometime in the 1990s. I thought that
in
was
a
very
soothing voice, sometime in 1992. I'm just like, do you really need to be specific?
Metro City, blah 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 blah. I don't even know. Is that the Super Street Fighter 2 announcer? Round 1. Fight.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's possible. Ooh, it's possible.
Might be.
Never compared them. Never thought about it, but it's possible.
You win.
You win. I think he like built up more hype by the time Super Street Fighter 2 came out, though. Sonic Boom.
Sonic. No, okay, now he's Guile. Tiger knee.
Tiger knee.
I think the funniest thing about this intro for us is Damned on the TV going he, Mr. Hager, which has lived in our brains rent free for years. Like,
yeah, and like I admit I had never even played this version before the Sega Genesis Mini 2, and I knew about that. So
yeah, what have you done with Jessica? The Cody and Guy thing is weird too. Jessica's my friend too. I will help. Or whatever Guy says. And it's like, I was banging her on the side, Cody. Let me come. But you know
the funniest thing about that, Cody's all like, Jessica is as if he doesn't know who Jessica is. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's your fucking girlfriend, man.
And he's like, well, she's my friend too. I don't know, Guy. You literally just said Jessica like a few seconds prior, so I don't know how genuine any of this is, but okay.
Oh man, it's weird. You know what? I'm glad this isn't as brutal as. Have you ever seen Double Dragon 2 on PC Engine CD?
No, I've not.
Yeah, because like they have an animated intro, and you know, like Marion dies in the beginning of Double Dragon 2. That's like the whole basis for it.
Yeah,
so like they actually animate that, which is like so dramatic and over the top. It's really crazy. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like on NES they don't show shit, so that's interesting, I guess. But.
Well, I obviously just remember the arcade version where they just literally shoot her and she blinks away, and then the game begins.
They're outie right after they do it too. They're gone.
It's like bye.
And Billy is like, whoa. He opens the door. Is like, well, I guess I have to beat these assholes up now.
Hey, someone killed my girlfriend out here. Let me.
It's like, well, I'll beat them all up by myself if I have to.
It's just so weird. And then the game begins. Anyway, really, really good intro. Classic CD-ROM stuff. But as we will always talk about with a CD-ROM game, that music. So the Final Fight music is pretty legendary, right? And we have differing opinions on this. You go ahead and say what you think of these arranges of the Final Fight soundtrack.
So the Final Fight soundtrack to me is rather poignant. There's quite a bit of punchiness to it. It's almost borderline abrasive in some ways, but like not like literally like overbearing or whatever. But this kind of swings in the opposite direction. That Red Book space is really used for some chill, soft vibes. And like it might be almost too chill for its own good, but it's still pretty well made. And like I think even if this soundtrack is not necessarily for me in all respects, like I still think it's quite fascinating that they're kind of departing from the original song's vibe, right?
Yeah, because you know me, I like that soft shit. You know, like sometimes you could take it too far, like Demon's World, aka Horror Story on PC Engine CD. I don't like those versions of those songs. You know, that's like my favorite Toa Plan soundtrack. You know, and I much prefer the arcade original. The new instrument, the full band, whatever you want to call it, versions on the CD, it just does not hit, does not slap. So I get what you mean by that. However, I've always liked this version of the soundtrack more than you, I guess. There's some really wild takes on the arcade music.
It's very wild.
But honestly, that's what I want from this. And even like the aforementioned Horror Story, I'd rather they try and fail. Okay, if it doesn't work out, fine. But I'd rather it not be too close to the original shit, because I've already heard that. I want to hear something different, even if it's not as good.
Sure. Yeah, I can see it from that angle.
I've never liked how in Taito games such as like as the aforementioned Super Darius on Turbo CD, or what we might talk about in a second, the Sega CD version of Night Striker that just does the arcade version's music red booked the exact same shit. Which is like, okay, that's a great way to get the exact same sound at home, which is still cool, but I'd rather hear something different if at all possible. Anyway, I really enjoy the stuff in here. We always differed big time on like the cage match song with like the vocals and stuff, like the ad. I think I love the punchy horns and like the dramaticness of it myself, and it's kind of funky. You're like, oh man, but I like that they carry that song. Yeah, it is, but I like that they carry that song through the rest of the level. Whereas like the arcade original, they go back to the stage 1 song through fighting Eddie E, the boss at the end of that stage. But on Sega CD, they keep that Cage Max song going.
I think it works better that way, though. I think it deserves to like be there. But you know, something that's always kind of weird to me is that like the Super Nintendo version, which obviously is not necessarily your favorite, but like the Super Nintendo version, it actually continues that song too, from my recollection anyway. So it kind of makes me wonder if that's. Yeah, I think it. I don't think it alternates to the stage 1 song. I think the cage match song just keeps going in Super Nintendo. So I wonder if it's like a development like preference or something. I wonder. It's like we'll never probably really know the full history on that. But like maybe the devs are like JK. Like maybe it works better this way. But like
you might be onto something there though. Because they kept a lot of SNES quirks, like the quote-unquote censorship. Like Damned is called Thrasher, just like he is on SNES, and Sodom is called Katana, right? Yeah. So just like SNES, and the same like Oh My Car instead of Oh My God that they kept from SNES as well. That's all of that's in Sega CD. But they didn't change Poison and Roxy to like punk dudes. They're Poison and Roxy.
Yeah, that's right. They're still kept. Yeah, that's right.
So it's weird what they decided. You could be onto something though. That could be one of those developmental things. They decide, okay, let's carry this through. But I don't remember that happening on SNES. It's so weird. And I did play that version a lot. Anyway.
Yeah, at least that's what I recall. And like, I don't know, maybe the Super Nintendo version was used as a template to some degree, because like this version of the game is not like actually literally arcade perfect. It's kind of a weird in between of like Super Nintendo and arcade, because like the enemy sprite counts are higher than Super Nintendo's, but they're not quite as high as the arcade versions. So it's like it's kind of like this weird sort of like hybrid, right? I think that's like really interesting to me. Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's give and take, right? Because like the sprites and stuff maybe look more arcade accurate on Sega CD here than SNES, but the lack of color compared to SNES is what really hurts it here.
It's super dull.
I know we say that a lot about Genesis games, but it's true. Like compared to SNES, if for anyone just in case anyone doesn't know, the Genesis can display what, like 16 colors at once?
I thought it might be a little higher, but it's definitely not that far from that. Yeah,
it's not far off, and the Super Nintendo can do 256. So like you get a lot more color depth on SNES games sometimes, you know?
Yeah,
and
well, you can tell just because of the dot stippling effect a lot of games do, right? to like make up for that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's very limited in that respect. So when you crunch arcade games down, that's kind of the sacrifice you have to make, but it runs faster. It's not nearly as much slowdown. There's, it's give and take. So I do prefer the SNES's color, but it's hard to argue with Sega CD. I honestly can't pick.
I think they're both worth experiencing, though. And this version kind of does the weird console route of like adding in rando things. Like the intro has like new cut-in art. I'm like, okay. And also like there's a new time attack mode, which might be onto this version alone. And like they even like bothered like giving each of the 3 characters like a unique background. Like it's like that's kind of weird that they went to those lengths to like differentiate it from other versions of the game. And the mode itself is like kind of whatever, but like I mean I actually like played it a few times, but
it's not a bad mode. It's not too bad.
It's fine.
The Genesis had 512 colors to pick from. With you could have 61 colors on screen.
61? That's weird. Okay, all right. Not a power of 2.
Yeah, that's weird. I thought it was like, for some reason I thought it was lower, like it had 64 colors and you could use 16.
Yeah,
I guess that would be too. Yeah, it sounded kind of low, right? So anyway, sorry everyone, I fucked up. I corrected myself. But yeah, I do like that time attack mode. It's all right, I guess. It's a nice little freebie, but it's nothing I would ever go back and like, oh man, I gotta You know what I mean? Usually I like that stuff in fighting games like Time Attack or like Survival and shit like that. But in a beat 'em up, I don't really need it.
Yeah, it exists, but it's nice to look at.
A couple other weird things. I like that they mask the loading at the map screen. Like when they're showing the map of Metro City. You just kind of hang there for a while.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Also, G-Oriber is G-Oliber in this version, which I don't know why they keep changing that. They should just go full on and just make it Graham Oliver, G Oliver for once and for all.
Is this
if
the
you
only
really
version?
want.
Is this the only version to call him Oliver?
Oliver, yeah, I think it's the only one. I think
It's
there's none that go Oliver, but the rest are Oriber.
Wait, is it supposed to be Oliver?
If you want to parse out the phonetics, sure, I guess so, but no one knows that for sure.
Okay.
Is there a real person named Graham Oliver that they were trying to sneak? I have no idea. One of the Headbutt Corps.
This version is in tribute to Mr. Oliver.
What? Whoever that is. Okay. Let's talk about the aforementioned Night Striker real quick, which is on here because this is otherwise, this is a great conversion that is kind of fatally marred by a very low resolution presentation. It's the chunky pixels are devastatingly chunky.
Oh boy.
Which is kind of a no-go in a 3D scaler. Yeah, it's going to be chunky, but this is like basically the question here, is this too pixelated for you to enjoy?
I think the answer for me is that I don't think it's too pixelated to enjoy, but it makes it really hard to enjoy, right? So like the sheer chunkiness of and we don't exaggerate, by the way, the sheer chunkiness of these pixels is borderline distracting. And so I mean, while yes, it is technically playable, it's just like it's hard to see what you're doing, right? Which in a game that involves like sort of like twitchy sort of like reactions and stuff, that's like a big detriment. And like I would love to see that arcade version again someday, but like I like YouTube like a long play of the arcade version to like sort of compare and contrast. And I like actually jumped back when I saw it. I was just like, yo, like holy shit. Like I saw like life through like a freaking pixelated lens compared to this or something.
It's so tough. This is a very tough answer for me because I'm a big fan of Night Striker. You may have seen some Fine Time art that is based off of Night Striker. Wink, wink, right? That's not a coincidence. Like, I love this game. So maybe that's why I'm hesitant to write it off. But in my right mind, I have to say no. For like regular people, if you're insane like us, then yeah, sure, go for it. You're not gonna mind. But like, as a general recommendation, I can't. It really hurts to say that, but I just can't. It's good enough for me. Like I said, it's good enough for crazy people, but yeah, we can't do it. Like we said earlier, this has the arcade version music exactly, and it's just stellar.
Yeah.
Speaking of arcade music, Truxton, what we're going to talk about now, in its original Genesis form, the music ran too fast.
Yeah,
which like in a almost said in a Truxton game, in a Toa Plan game is a cardinal sin because Toa Plan games have excellent music and you don't want to present that as is. So M2 actually went back in and added a mode to play the original arcade speed of the BGM, which M2, holy shit, man, you guys, what can I say? Like
it's phenomenal how much they care. Right. And like it really highlights, you know, the benefit of revisiting some of these old things and like exploring what could have been. Because we just came hot off the press because we played this game on the Egret 2 Mini. So we kind of knew how it was quote unquote supposed to like be played at. Right. So then the fact that like we could alternate, that was like really, really cool. And it's good to have the original like super fast version as like a historical artifact. But like I'm not really going to be playing that way, and like it makes you wonder how the hell did that happen in the first place.
I don't know, man. Maybe because they were trying to overcompensate for like a PAL region version.
Ooh, that's
who knows. But honestly, this is such an excellent version of the game. As we know, the arcade version is like impossible. This Genesis version is actually much more possible.
Yeah.
And it's excellent. The Truxton might be the most supreme example of like how to plan enemy placement. Maybe. Like that art is the backbone of like any type of auto-scrolling game, if it's no matter if it's a shmup or not. But everything in Truxton comes across at the right time, and it feels like it should come. And the game does not stop. If you don't kill the boss, if you don't do that, they're just going to go away. The game doesn't stop moving. Yeah. It's great. What an incredible game. Just incredible.
It's definitely one of my top tool plan shmups, and like just having a sort of like seamless, I guess technically level less structure, quote unquote, like that's actually really fascinating to me, quite honestly, because most shmups have like a lot of breaks, but keeping it rolling is cool, man. It's a good one.
Do you have anything to say about Super Street Fighter 2 or Fatal Fury 2? I didn't really have anything other than just like they're pretty good conversions for the time. And I think they're fascinating to look at here. You know how I feel about arcade ports, especially like fighting game ports of the time. But these are still fun to look at, I guess.
I think they're good to have on here. And I actually did like play them like a fair amount, I guess. And like the Genesis is known for really crunched voice samples. That's like the biggest sticking point about the whole thing. But these actually sound okay for what they're worth. I mean, these are like later on in the Genesis life cycle, so that makes sense. So maybe they got their programming together. But I don't mind looking or listening to these games. And like I had never actually played like the Genesis version with like a 6-button controller, so that was like pretty nice, I guess. And there's like little console exclusive knickknacks, which I think might be the same as the Super Nintendo ones, but like there's like a time attack mode and a score attack mode, and that's like those are like good diversions, I guess, but like
that's pretty standard for the time, though. You got to have that kind of stuff because they were trying to do everything to trick up like, well, here's just the arcade game, but what else can we do?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And like in both these games' cases, there's better ways to play them. But like whether it's like Street Fighter 30th anniversary or like Arcade Archives, but like I still think they're good to have here.
It's always interesting to see ports of the time. I just don't want like, you know, if a mini console is like filled with ports, then it's just kind of like, well, I don't really, you know, you want the original stuff. But it's good to have a few things like this, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, even on the original Genesis Mini, I mess around with like Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition like a little bit, but like, I don't, it's just historically.
Really do. Yeah. Ain't playing that with a 3-button controller, so no thank you.
You don't like hitting to start to change punches and kicks.
You know what? That would be a really interesting Evo tournament to play Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition Genesis with just a 3-button controller to see if you could do like hella combos by hitting start in the middle of shit, or like that would be insane if someone could actually learn how to do that for realsies.
Yeah. I think certain characters might be kind of hard to use, but try to do some like Balrog or something. Try to like hold some buttons down. Yeah, I don't know.
But what about your like typical like jump in furious crouching forward fireball or something? That's like impossible. You have to press the start button twice, right? But what if you could actually learn how to do that?
Oh,
that would be crazy.
That would be cool. Clunky but cool.
We could talk about Rolling Thunder 2 real quick. It's a decent conversion. You know, it's pretty much you have these like anime cut-ins and stuff. They really add some stuff to this version of Rolling Thunder 2. But the thing for me was like the password system, so you could continue. It's not just like a number. It's not like a jumble of numbers and letters. It's an actual password, like the duck quacks at midnight, like an old school like thing. So like the password to stage, the password to stage 2 is a magical thunder learn the secret.
What? Why is it magical? What's magical thunder?
I don't know, but I love that they're actually like full on pass phrases, like some spy shit. That is excellent.
It's super funny. And like, I just like stared at the screen because you can make like surreal phrases with it. But like, if you make a password error, it boots you back to the title screen. So you can't just like cheese it.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's not like a Mega Man pass where you kind of like, oh, I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put this dot over here. No, you can't. Let's try some shit.
You can't try shit here. But
I used to write my Mega Man 2 passwords on the same graph paper that I did for like other mapping. I used to like box something out and like do that. Yeah,
that's perfect though. Yeah, I think I drew up my grids by hand or something. But
kind of ghetto, but I've done that. I've done that too. Yeah,
but these are words and one thing real quick. I think it's still a really punishing game, but being able to start where you got game over is pretty handy. Because you basically have infinite continues that way, right? The game over screen is crazy. I think it looks like some sort of like nuclear fallout or something. It's like, whoops, like I guess like we didn't do the secret agent thing, so the big bad blew everything up, which I'm pretty sure was not in the arcade version, but I guess they tried.
I don't think that was there. No, that wasn't there. So real quick before we go to break, there's something I've been obsessed with regarding Rainbow Islands Extra. And if you've never played Rainbow Islands, it's the sequel to Bubble Bobble. It's the one where you literally just make rainbows and go, it's a vertically scrolling up stage thing. So if you don't know, the original BGM for Rainbow Islands at the arcade was Taito was afraid that they would get sued for copyright infringement because it was pretty close to Over the Rainbow. Mm-hmm. Which I never really heard. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's like completely dissimilar, but
there's some cadence there, but yeah.
Yeah. So they were afraid of this. So like in every subsequent version, they've gone out of their way to hide this song from view. So they made another BGM, which is actually not too dissimilar from the first one, right? Mm-hmm. But it's less copyright infringing, I guess. So they use that one. That version 2 BGM, if you will, is the version that's on this Genesis Mini 2 Rainbow Islands Extra, as was in the original Genesis cartridge. However, on Mega Drive, they have the version 1 song, the copyright infringement version. So I switched the system to Japanese because that's something you can do, which is really cool. Probably should have mentioned that up front. To play the Japanese version of Rainbow Islands Extra, no dice. It's also the version 2 BGM. So there's no way to hear the version 1 over the Rainbow copyright infringement version, which again I don't really think is that big a deal.
Do you actually think they would reach and like actually like try to litigate off of that? Because that's like so weird.
No, the only thing I could say is that maybe someone reached out to Taito Japan and said, hey, we're not going to make a big deal about this, but we're going to sue you if you don't stop using this. Like, we're not going to make this public, but just please change this to something else. Okay.
Yeah.
Quiet.
It's good to prevent stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe someone got in their ear like that. And then ever since then said, okay, we'll not use that anymore.
There's a lawsuit coming.
So what they probably did is that since a lot of Taito games have pretty much fully in English as they are, especially arcade games back then, they probably just swapped the Japanese ROM for our ROM because nobody would have known the difference because it's already in English.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much of a difference, if any. Yeah.
Yeah, so they just probably just left it. That's okay. We'll swap out for the American one, and who cares? Anyway, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna do some hot dunks in a second. Be right back.
Fine time.
Okay, we're back. Who's ready for some vicious dunks? Because I am.
I'm ready for some slam dunks.
Some slam dunks what?
Some slam dunks on these shitty-ass games that we have lined up here.
I wanted to hear, I'm ready for some slam dunks, bitch.
I'm ready for some slam dunks, bitch. Oh yeah. All right. My time. Tonight.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with Vectorman 2, because Vectorman 2 is on here. Vectorman was on the first Genesis Mini. Vectorman 2 is here. I'm sorry. I think these games suck. I have always thought these games sucked. I've never liked them.
They're just an excuse to make a bunch of sprites show on screen, right?
At pre-rendered sprites, no less.
Yeah, but like...
why was that it though? Because I have no idea why they were popular. Just because they look cool.
It's gotta be because they look cool. Yeah, well, I mean, like, look, on principle or on paper, like, Vectorman being comprised of multiple spheres kind of is a fun sort of graphical thing, I guess. But you gotta have a game though, right? And this game is really annoying to play. And I got to like stage 3 before I just dropped it, and I think I could even see where it was going. Like the level design was ass.
The level design is ass, but it's also like your movement is ass because like quote unquote camera like really wants you to bump into shit.
You can't see shit. Yeah, that's right. It catches up to you.
Yeah, it's like it's so cheap. There was just so much better to play on 16-bit systems in 1996. I have no idea why people went after this trash game. It has to be because it looked cool.
What, in 96? Oh, fuck, that's terrible.
Well, yeah, well, that means like the first one was like, what, 95, I guess?
I think so. It's got to be 95, yeah.
I just don't know why they persist today. Does M2 think we Americans actually like these? Because we don't.
There might be some schmuck out there that likes this, but like, oh my god, Jesus Christ. I couldn't play it, and I'm usually relatively forgiving, but no, like...
they're not good.
Shit. They're not.
Yeah, well, you can't see jack shit. I mean, like name a game of that type that has like worse visibility. Like people complain about like Donkey Kong Country or Sonic or something, but no, like this, like you literally cannot see shit in Vectorman.
Yeah, the backgrounds are like black and stuff like that, right? So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least Donkey Kong Country and like Sonic actually have stuff to look at, but like this is just like, yo, dog, I hope you like spheres the game, right?
Stupid. I do think it looks cool, but it's just shitty to play. So Clayfighter real quick. Like my only experience with Clayfighter before this was I rented Clayfighter 63 1/3 on Nintendo 64. Mm-hmm. And we kind of thought that was trash because it was. So like, I remember thinking the characters were kind of funny and it had like fun sound effects or something, but we just kind of were looking at each other after a few matches like, this is stupid.
At least you didn't own it. At least you didn't buy it.
Oh no, I knew better than that. But
my god, yeah, it's like a time capsule. I guess this is okay, but like as a fighting game, like get out of here, right? Like, and also these characters are kind of annoying to look at. Like I think I remember seeing this game in like magazines, and I thought those were annoying at the time, but now it's just like embarrassing.
Yeah, and like we're supposed to be of the age to think that stuff's like funny or whatever at the time, right? Like even you more so than me because I got a few years on you, but neither of us, even at the time, we thought it was stupid, right? So it's like,
yeah, I could be a snowman and who's an angry snowman, and I guess I can like beat people up. It's like, I mean, come on, man.
You know the phrase, "It's not over till the fat lady sings." Now you can be the fat lady.
Oh, that's right. Oh, god damn it, I forgot.
Yeah, great. It's just like. It's a joke fighter, and the joke isn't funny. So then or now. This is one of those games I fear people will say, well, you had to be there. I was there. It was not funny back then.
Yeah, we were there. Well, I mean, at least I saw it all over the place. I never was drawn to really play it. I think I played the Super Nintendo one like momentarily, and I don't remember shit. So there's your impression right there.
So you played Night Trap for the first time here. Sega CD. I played Night Trap before, so I want you to talk about Night Trap mainly because I want your impressions here of this stupidity.
I think you mean Night Trap.
I think you mean Night Trap, bitch.
Night Trap, bitch. Because I saw I saw the recent anniversary re-release and I didn't give a fuck to play this, but so like, okay, fine, I'll finally play this because it's available, it's on here. So it's my first rodeo with the game, and I don't know if I actually got to play a video game. So so like,
it's not a game. It's not a game.
I was really astounded at how it wasn't so much of a game so much as an exercise in like switching between video clips. So like, yeah, that's really what it is. And so against my better judgment, I tried to play this game quote unquote legit for a few runs, but like, just to summarize those runs really quick, the first time I just game over from idling because I didn't know I was supposed to press start or whatever, and so I lost my shit. That. Yeah, there's no way for you to know that, so I lost my shit when the angry drill sergeant guy, again, another angry dude in FMV, he, like, grabs a Genesis controller and he, like, pulls the cord out of it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? I'm pulling your access, but, like, yo, that's a perfectly fine Genesis controller you just fucked up, man.
Drill sergeant being pissed off. What is with all these FMV games and the drill sergeant asshole like being pissed off? Like,
well, I'll never know. It's immersive, except it's not. But and so like the next few runs, I tried to play the game legit. I just let a bunch of people through that second run, and I'm like, what the hell are you supposed to be doing? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm getting like messed up, and I think they like force you to game over after like 30 escapees, or I don't know the exact number. But I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to prevent this, right? So eventually, like a few runs after, I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna go to game FAQs. I'm gonna go like look up like the perfect like quote unquote ideal order or whatever, right? So that's what I do, and I actually get to like disc 2, and you know, of course, it's not really like it's all like based on the flash memory of the Mini 2, so you just press a button, it'll like change discs for you automatically. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool, right? And but like there was like a split-second window to rescue one of the captives, and like apparently that was mandatory, so I just game over on the spot. After like 30 minutes of playing this stupid ass game, I just like lost my run. And I'm just like, and the angry drill sergeant's like, you could have protected her. I'm revoking your access. And I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to react to that,
man? He doesn't give a fuck. He needs to be extreme and yell at you.
Yeah. So like,
at least in Sewer Shark, you don't have someone yelling at you because you're dead, I guess. Like,
right. So I haven't played it since, but I guess it was amusing as an artifact. But as a game, like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's not much of a game. At least Sewer Shark is a game. This isn't a game.
Exactly. So. I guess I didn't mind playing it, quote unquote playing it, but
yeah. Well, I'm glad you had an experience. I guess that's all you can really say for it.
Mm-hmm.
Ristar. It's fucking K. Like, it's not the hidden gem people make it out to be. It's the kind of game that you overrate if you only had a Genesis and not a SNES. I'm sorry. I know that sounds rude, but like, it was also ignored at the time for a reason. Like, sorry.
I think perfectly motherfucking okay is a great way of putting it, because like I've always been referring to this game as just something to look at because it's colorful and the character is like a cute star, like whatever, but mechanically it just kind of exists, right?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fucking fine. You know, like, and that's it. Don't let anyone tell you this is like the Genesis hidden masterpiece. It's not. It's fine.
You know the funny thing is that this game just came out on Sega Genesis Nintendo Switch Online, so you're gonna see a whole wave of people talking about it.
Yeah, as of this recording, yeah, it has just come out. Yeah, so it's whatever. Can we talk about the Ooze real quick? Because this is a game. He's laughing at it. I just said the name, the Ooze. He's okay. You know what? Actually, I guess you need to talk about this. You just had that visceral reaction to it.
I'll talk about the Ooze because what the fuck, Sega Technical Institute? What is going on? Like in 1995, hot off the heels of like Comic Zone, which we both think is kind of like not really much of a game either.
Not that good. Not that good.
It looks okay, I guess, right? But like it's got style, but otherwise I don't know. And like this game also has style too. The intro is pretty interesting. It's pretty wacky. Like you're a scientist literally getting turned into the Ooze. ooze, the ooze. And so like
ooze.
Yeah, and like all the game's UI text is oozy, and it says like lives left with ooze text. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
Because it's a 90s commercial for action figures, and you're selling the ooze on Sega Genesis now. The ooze.
Secret of the ooze.
Secret of the ooze. Cowabunga, dude.
Cowabunga dudes.
Get your ooze. Did you have that ooze? Did you have the ooze canisters for the Genesis, the Ninja Turtles figures? They sold the ooze in like little canisters.
Did you?
Yeah. I had some ooze.
Oh, get out of here! Whatever.
Yeah, dude. They were only like a couple bucks. They weren't that much. They were like, yeah, but they would like quote unquote wear after a while and turn to like fucking like liquid or whatever. So you'd have to buy more ooze.
Speaking of liquid, this game kind of controls like hot ass in some ways. I mean, the premise is interesting, but like you kind of move a little slow. And I guess like if you're into methodical prodding sort of structures, I guess it's fine. But like it takes a hot minute to go places, and like you better not get your head shot, like, or else like you'll instantly lose a life or like whatever, right? And God, it's kind of weirdly inconsistent in some ways. I don't know, to me anyway.
Yeah, I kind of like it for that, though. I kind of like the idea of this game. It is let down by the fact that you can get, like, quote-unquote headshot and just die. That does suck.
Yeah.
But, like, as an idea and, like, movement and, like, killing enemies and turning them into the ooze.
The ooze!
I feel like that stuff is cool. I like it.
I'd rather them try, I guess, compared to like Comic Zone. Well, not to say that Comic Zone didn't try, but you know what I mean. Like, I guess
Comic Zone fails as a beat 'em up. You know what I mean? Like, it fails. It's conceptually great, but it is not a good game, like structurally, and it's so fucking hard for no reason. Like, it's just
and this game is also balanced kind of weird too. But like, I mean, I'm sure if I stuck with it more, I'd probably like get more used to it. But like, it kind of makes a tough impression out the gate, and so like, it's tough. But I mean, conceptually, it's cool. You get to be oozy.
Oozy. Did you just turn into Junkrat? Ooze. Roadhog, I think I found some ooze. Okay, we can't leave the dunk section without talking about Ecco, our favorite Genesis game to dunk on of all time. So on this Genesis Mini 2, you have the Sega CD versions of the original Ecco and the sequel, The Tides of Time.
The Tides of Time.
The Tides of Time.
What a title.
What voice is that? New Age of Heroes. That's what
New
it
Age
is.
of Heroes.
New Age of Heroes. Yeah. Yeah. New Age of Heroes.
Ecco, The Tides of Time.
The Tides of Time.
Lo 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 and la la la.
This is they suck. They still suck. Ecco still fucking blows. So like I popped in the original. We put ourselves through this game. We put ourselves through this game through the power of Sega Genesis into the Switch Online about I don't know, about a year ago or something like that. And
Something
it was
like that, yeah.
really bad. So in this new version on Sega CD, besides the New Age soundtrack, which is just the most 90s shit, I think for both of us, like New Age music is like the 90s.
It is. Yep, it sure is.
And this game has it. And they try to add a continue function to Ecco. And it doesn't really work, though, because the checkpoints they decide where you get put back to are sometimes like so absurdly far from the objective that you're doing. I don't really know how they calculate that, but it's just like,
I don't know.
You know what? I got as far. Remember, we got to the stage where you have to rescue the 3 dolphins underground or whatever.
God. Oh, no. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I saved a dolphin. It didn't let me continue after I died after I saved a dolphin. So I was like, okay, so what the hell was the criteria for continuing?
Like, do you have to hit like a crystal maybe? I don't know. That's like weird.
Yeah, they should just, logic would say every time you save a dolphin, that should be a checkpoint, right?
I mean, logic was your first mistake.
Yeah, maybe I'm just thinking too modern of it, but like, anyway, the sequel is not much better, although it does have like a CG ass intro that's like kind of long.
It's a pretty long intro, yeah, and I guess the presentation chops are nice for the Tides of Time, and it's there's actually what I didn't really expect playing the Tides of Time CD was that I like pinged one of these crystals and it played a straight up like freaking like FMV CG history sequence. It lasted really long too. It was like some Encarta bullshit or something like that. Compton's Encyclopedia.
Encarta, holy shit. What did you just do to my brain?
It's what it was. I mean, seriously, that's what it was. So it just kept going and like on and on. I wasn't expecting this level of production. And look, like the production is cool. Like Ecco's production always does impress, but like the game, man. Where's the game?
It just sucks because it seems like Ecco should be the kind of thing that would be cool. The 90s ass new age dolphin adventure game. Now at the end starring crazy aliens or whatever. Like, you know, that seems like a concept that should be fun. Just let us enjoy the game, man. There's no need to make it this fucking arduous and difficult to play. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I gotta be really honest with you. I didn't really work that hard at Tides of Time CD, but like, I mean, I don't know. It's worth being here, of course, but at the same time, it's just like, it belongs in some sort of cinema or something.
Or in an Encarta box in Cordy. Do you remember they used to try to sell it as like an actual encyclopedia? You get 15 CD-ROMs of the Encarta, you know, blah blah blah. Like before the internet really gave us the real information that we needed, like a scant couple years later.
I got an Encarta CD. I think it was 97 for like my Power PC Mac or whatever. I think I did anyway.
I had an Encarta CD. I don't remember which one it was though.
Yeah, maybe not 97. That sounds kind of late, but I mean, I don't know what.
Mine, I think, came with a Windows 95. I could be mistaken.
Oh, that's high time for that shit.
Yeah. Anyway, I got as far as I got in Tides of Time was that I did some fake ass mode 7 where you have to jump through rings that are in the air. But like, it's impossible to judge the rings where they are because you have to be jumping out of the water to see the rings. So you can't really judge how close you are to the ring. You kind of have to guess, and it's so stupid. Unless I was just missing something. But after that, I just turned it off. I'm like, fuck this. I don't. One more thing before we move on is that I thought it was funny that the Japanese boxes for Ecco the Dolphin and Ecco the Tides of Time, have the exact same box art except for a Roman numeral 1 or 2 in the corner denoting which one it is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow, that's funny.
It's really funny, yeah. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the M2 wizardry, as we might call it, like the old games on here that they improved on the Genesis Mini 2. We talked a little bit about this because of, like we said earlier, M2 made the BGM for Truxton run at the correct speed instead of the sped up speed that it was originally, so shit like that. But this stuff goes farther. So for Phantasy Star 2, they added an easy mode. But it's not necessarily an easy mode. They're just fixing the game. They're upping the movement speed. They're lowering the encounter rate, and they're actually making it like decent to grind. And you don't have to spend your life like poking at these stupid like mosquitoes that can kill you. You know, dude, so it's actually damage. It's not actually easy mode. It's just fair mode. I played Phantasy Star 2 numerous times, which I'll get to in a second. You, Vin, have never. So I want your opinion first of like playing easy mode Phantasy Star 2.
I switched back and forth, but I stuck with easy mode, particularly just because it was actually like the reasonable mode, right? Like the movement speed of the original is really plodding and really slow, but this boosted movement speed actually feels nice, right? And like, which is funny to say because like in Final Fantasy, I don't really mind the movement speed too much, but I think part of the reason why I felt it in like the original mode is that you move too damn slow and the areas are too damn big. Right? So like the movement speed actually like makes it more like bearable so that you're not just like punked like as you're trying to traverse the overworld or these dungeons or like whatever.
I just wanted to mention that I'm usually not one who gets tilted about like RPG movement speeds if you have a run or not or whatever. I know that bothers a lot of people. I don't care. If it moves slow, then it moves slow. I didn't really mind the movement speed in Phantasy Star 2 originally. It was the difficulty of trying to get up to an acceptable level to do anything in this game was so painful, and easy mode alleviates that completely.
Yeah, you get a bunch of you have an experience booster, right? And also another thing I kind of noticed toggling between these versions is that it feels like your accuracy is different too. Like I was missing some spells and stuff in the original, so like having your spells land with reasonable consistency, it actually has a meaningful impact on everything, right? Because you don't have the most like MP or whatever. Or I think they call it like TP in this game. So like you kind of like don't have the most resources in the world. So like in the original game, I'm sure like you just had to like go back to town like a lot to like, you know, go to the inn or whatever the equivalent is in this game. But because it's all like sci-fi or whatever, so it's not like an inn per se. But like
right. Do you remember though from our Phantasy Star Universe days what TP stands for?
Technic points?
Yeah, Technic points. Do you remember PP? Photon points? PP?
Oh, photon point. I would have said PowerPoint.
PowerPoints? I don't care. We always said PP anyway because it's funny.
It's fun to say. Yeah.
PP.
PP. Yeah, it's just, but again, like easy mode's not actually easy. It's just rebalanced mode, right? So easy is kind of a misnomer. So like if someone beat the game this way, I'd never begrudge them for it because like I mean, heck, it's just like the original is just too arduous. We don't have enough hours in the day.
Yeah, it's just like come on, we'll waste our time. So two things. One, why is there a cyber grid floor when you fight? Like I don't understand why that's a thing.
I actually had the same question.
Maybe just because it's 1989, but like I don't know, man. It's weird. Are they trying to imply that? You know what? I'm not giving this game any more credit than I have to. Never mind. I keep trying to fix this game, and never mind. They don't deserve to have my theories.
They don't deserve. Hot Master System theory out the window.
Master System. Did you notice that like some of the very early Genesis box art still had grids? They tried to hide it. It wasn't as like prominent as Master System, but they still use grids sometimes.
I think Alex Kidd might have, right? Maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. So my numerous attempts to play this game I can't even tell you. So like, I think the first time I tried was probably a ROM back in the late 90s. I gave up. I think I had Phantasy Star Collection for Game Boy Advance. I gave up on Phantasy Star 2. I had it for Wii Virtual Console, I think. I gave up. I had it on Sonic's Genesis Collection or whatever on 360. I gave up. I tried it on Switch on the Genesis Collection. I gave up. I've tried to play this game so many times in my life, and I just can't. I would love to. Now this is finally a way I can play the game. Finally.
I didn't know you did that many times. Jesus Christ, man. And you're more persistent than anyone I know, and you still couldn't do it.
It's too much, man. That grind gets me. That grind grinds me down. I can't do it.
You still have to do like a little bit on here.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to. I want to try to beat it on here using quote unquote easy mode. So,
which is not actually easy. It's a misnomer.
Yeah. You want to tell me about Puyo Puyo versus Puyo Puyo Sun real quick? I don't know anything about this, and you're the Puyo man.
I am the Puyo man in town on Fine Time. It's gonna be puzzle time, baby. Wait, what? Who said that? But so this is a brand new version of Puyo Sun, the third game in the Puyo series, which was originally on arcades and Saturn and PS1, right? And so this is essentially a brand new backported version from those versions, right? And it's really fascinating to see this run on a Genesis because obviously the Genesis is not going to be as capable as a Saturn, so they had to make some compromises, but they've largely encapsulated a lot of that visual pizzazz, which consists of like having large character portraits, sizable sprites on that intro, right? There's some pretty crazy cinematics in the intro, and they actually replicated all that stuff, right?
On Genesis, that is very impressive.
It's super impressive, and like they've crammed some voice samples and cut-ins into like the Genesis spec, and I think that's pretty insane of M2 to do. So here's the weirdest part about it: there's no option for a CPU opponent, so you must play this with somebody else. So my confession is that in the Rona era, I still have never played this with somebody else because who the hell is gonna play with my ass?
And not me. It ain't gonna be me. I ain't
Yeah.
getting my ass whooped and fucking Puyo by you. I'm sorry. I was gonna say you may as well play the computer, but you can't. So never mind.
So the way I played this was playing this with a dummy 2-player with the piece falling down very slowly. That's how desperate I was to try it. Womp womp. But
Wow.
at least I get to talk about it here. And like, so here's the crazy part about it. M2 further has wizardry in the sense that they actually add like a new mechanic to the game because there's some Puyo diehards that really hate the brand new, well, the then brand new Sun Puyos, because they kind of just like land and like interrupt your like placement and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, it's just baggage. So they actually have like a separate like mode where these Sun Puyos like get integrated into like the garbage block. So it's like they actually thought about like rebalancing this game, which is like M2, like what the hell, man? This is like crazy talk.
I mean, it's what they do, man. It's what they do.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers the Turbo Mini pod that we did on a previous creative endeavor where we talked about how they like reported Gradius and Salamander back to TG16 to make them like super arcade accurate, which is like insane. You know, like
who cares about that? Like they care and we care, but how many people are going to care, right? Or notice? But the fact that they're doing it is like crazy to me. So like, I just really love the fact that Puyo Sun's on here, even though I'm probably never playing with anybody. But
yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. Sun Puyo, huh? So they interact. You can take away garbage Puyos with Sun Puyo.
The Sun Puyos, I think, like if you clear them, they're like a second type of garbage, like normally, right? So if you clear them, they cause like additional garbage or like points or something like that. But I think like people trying to set up these MLG chains, like the Sun Puyo just like block what they're doing or whatever, right? So I think that's like part of the concern, yeah. But yeah, I think that was part of the contention anyway. But now that like there's a way to like kind of sort of get around that because M2 somehow like thought to do this, right? And that's like I think that's the part. The forethought is the nutty part to me. And it's just like
it's wild, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about Spatter real quick, a game I had never heard of. Apparently, this is a 1984 arcade game from Sega. Have you ever heard of Spatter? I have. No. So it's a maze game. And I guess a good analogy for this is, the way I feel about 3D platformers, how like Mario is like it for me and nothing else could like hope to compete with it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I feel about maze games. There's Pac-Man and then there's everything else that try to be Pac-Man.
Everyone's playing for scraps. You're
right. So with that said, I hadn't heard of Spatter before now, but I'm pretty into this. It's a cool little maze game. It's honestly cool. It has like dodge mechanics, which are like part of like the game and not just like a funny little like MLG thing you could do. Like they're necessary for survival and it's easy to do and they're fun to do. It's honestly not too super situational or gimmicky. I kind of suck at it a little, but it's fun. I honestly like Spatter a lot. It's so fucking cool that M2 decided to do this. I don't know why they decided to, but I'm glad. Maybe it's someone who was a fan of Spatter at M2. I wouldn't be surprised.
That had to have been it. Yeah, that had to have been it. And like, again, yeah, I like the dodge mechanic. You ride walls and it feels organic and intuitive. And I've been joking that this is potentially just Loose Sentai the video game because like it's super colorful and it's super over the top in some ways. And nothing ever really feels cheap in this game. I feel like there's always a way to escape from like the enemies that are like chasing you. I feel like there's always like escape routes and stuff like that. So you're never really like fully trapped. So it rewards
it's not cheap. It's not cheap.
No. Yeah. It's got a different name in Japanese, it seems.
Yeah, it's called Sanrin Sanchan. Sanrin means tricycle, so Sanchan, tricycle Sanchan.
That's a pun, I guess, right?
This seems Sanrin Sanchan. I guess it would be a pun. I have no idea. My Japanese is not good enough. I could just read the title screen. I can't pun yet in Japanese. So
I think that's pretty punny.
Yeah. It has the same game feel and font and like kind of general presentation as Flicky, if you notice. Like,
yeah, it does.
Like with the bonus and everything, and like it's the same thing as Flicky. So I would imagine, and Flicky came out of 83, I think.
It's the same cloth, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing, and probably the most famous thing that this console is known for, is that they fixed Space Harrier 2. What is so funny? What?
Space Harrier 2 Genesis. Oh my Jesus Christ.
Just the fact that it exists, or like what?
I think just the fact that it exists, because it was a launch game and like it had single digit frame rate, and so like how can you like have that, like how can you play that, man? So M2 went in and made it run smoother, and M2's wizardry is just really crazy. So like I don't know how, like the inner workings to know how they accomplished it, but like the game is actually playable now. It runs at a reasonable frame rate, and maybe like just having like more than 3 decades to like sort of learn some programming tricks, maybe that really helped. I don't know, but
yeah, but it is also worth mentioning that Space Harrier 2 is also on the original Genesis Mini, so it's here again now in like updated form, which is like the weird thing, because I remember it being on there. I was like, I'm not playing no fucking space. Fuck this. Like, I remember I bought it on Virtual Console. And I'm like, this sucks. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Oh god.
No, thank you. But yeah, that actually runs at a decent frame rate, so the game's actually playable for the first time. I also love that before the Space Harrier 2 logo appears, there's like a Sega Mark V splash screen, which is something they just totally made up. Obviously, I think anyone who's a Sega fan would know why that's funny. It's hard to explain, but
it's hardware lineage life.
Yeah. It's really funny to explain, but like what a joke just for the people. What a company who cares, man. Just they care. They get it. It's great.
And you want to talk caring? There's a hidden deflicker setting you told me about. I didn't even know about this before like last week. And you can go over the options of Space Harrier or Space Harrier 2, because they're both on here. And if you hold right over the options and press A, like a deflicker setting pops up. Have you messed with this?
Yeah, but I haven't played enough to really know. The fact that it's here, though, is good enough for me. By the way, what Vin just said is true. The original Space Harrier is here too, just because that was never on Genesis before. They just decided to put it here. They just decided, just because. We're gonna in this new engine. We decided to make Space Harrier 2. We're gonna make the original 2, remake it on Genesis. Here you go.
Yeah, I had to do his double take, and I'm like, that didn't exist originally, right? So I'm like, I was like, wait, what? Because I thought Space Harrier 2 on Genesis was some ghetto ass concession to like the console plebs or something.
Yeah, just incredible, man. What they do here, just crazy work. Like,
yeah, it's super cool. It's super cool.
Another arcade port that didn't exist before that they quote unquote ported to Genesis now is Super Locomotive, another arcade game I never heard of. But
I had never heard of it either. Yeah.
This one is weird. It's kind of like, as the name implies, you're kind of controlling a runaway train, but you have like 2 fields of view. The screen is split in half. You have like the train view, like the super graphical like side view, and then you have like the overhead of the tracks. Right? So it's like you're trying to plan your route, but I always somehow get fucked. Like I always like hella crash into shit.
I got fucked so many times because like you have to look up and down. So like it took me many runs to figure this out, but I think it was pretty rewarding once I eventually got it. The premise is pretty wacky and fun. I've also had like random ass aerial vehicles just like collide into my train, and I'm like, you have to like look down to know that like there's something's coming in, and it's just like, oh shit. So once you balance that stuff out, it's pretty fun. I just don't know how to survive, man. Really, for a long period of time, but
it's tough, man.
Yeah, and you want to talk weirdness, so like unbeknownst to me until recently is that like the original arcade version had a licensed track, Riding by Yellow Magic Orchestra. I mean, which I didn't even realize was a thing, but the Genesis Mini 2 version specifically, it's got the song called Rising by this band, hopefully it doesn't get me in any hot water, but it's called Oriental Magnetic Yellow by partially fronted by famed composer Shinji Hosoe.
Stop. Did you just say Oriental Magnetic Yellow on these airwaves?
It is possible that that's a thing that came out of my mouth, yes.
I mean, well, first of all, you're not going to get canceled. You're Asian. You're allowed to say it. Number 2, I cannot believe that. So the original song is Riding, and this song is called Rising?
Yes.
But isn't it... So...
Apparently they didn't want to license the track again.
So but this isn't like a parody of the original Raiden. This is a completely different song.
So I mean, it's a different song, but it has similarly sounding beats. I mean, it's kind of like Rainbow Islands version 2 versus version 1. It's like that, right?
Oh,
so it has, like,
okay.
Yeah. So it has like the spirit of it, but it's not the same song.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I had to interrupt you. It's led by who now?
Famed composer Shinji Hosoe, who does like a lot of like shmup soundtracks and stuff. Yeah.
Dragon Spirit, Dragon Saber, and many as his Namco stuff is. Whew, my God, what can you say?
Legendary guy.
I'm sorry, I cannot believe there's a band called that.
Yeah, you can verify it on Google if you want, but yeah, it's woo, baby. I'm vindicated. I'm vindicated.
Vindicated.
Thank you. Yes, vindicated.
Also, real quick, they also ported Fantasy Zone for some reason to Genesis. I don't know why. They have a hard-on for Fantasy Zone, I think. Because I'll be honest, the first time I ever heard of M2 was when they backported Fantasy Zone 2 to System 16, quote-unquote, hardware for like Sega Ages on PS2.
Yeah,
that's like the first time I ever heard. That was like 20 years ago. That's the first time I ever heard of M2.
And they've been doing crazy ports since. And didn't they make an arcade boosted Fantasy Zone on the TG16 Mini as well?
Yes, they did.
So apparently I guess it's a good litmus test for like backporting stuff, I guess. But I mean, I guess it's good that this exists because like the original Genesis version was pretty muted and like kind of ghetto, but like we also have so many ways of playing this, so it's kind of weird to have it. But as like a proof of concept, I think it's good to have it here.
For sure, yeah, I guess. I just don't know if I need like another version of Fantasy Zone. I'm not sure how necessary this is, but I guess it's cool that it exists. Maybe I don't know. Maybe someone's out there who's never played Fantasy Zone, so...
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I think the Switch version is probably like a pretty solid way to go. But like, look, if you have the Mini too, you might as well give it a shot, right? I mean, it's solid.
Yeah. I just realized I kind of wanted to dunk on Sonic CD earlier, but honestly, what else is there to say? But I don't really.
I blocked out of my mind.
Yeah, I kind of forgot it existed, and maybe we should just keep forgetting.
You want to know a secret? I haven't played it on the Mini 2. This is one of the few games I didn't play.
Okay, so there's no point in talking about it then. So a couple things on here, which I guess we could consider more M2 wizardry, but there are two games on the Genesis Mini 2 that have never been released before. And they are Star Mobile and Devi Pii. So let's talk about Star Mobile first, because I never heard of this. This is apparently a game for who made this? Naxat Soft, right?
Or, I think Naxat Soft. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. This came out for the Sharp X68K and PC Engine CD in like 92. And so a Genesis port was planned and developed, but it was canceled without ever being announced. So no one knew that it existed. But hey, here it is.
It's so weird that was never announced. Don't you think that's like so weird?
Yeah. So it never appeared in a magazine or nothing. Like there was no word that this, sort of like the Magical Drop 2 on Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online, just kind of like it was that port was like made but like never released and it was never announced.
Yeah, good comparison.
Yeah. So I don't know how to explain this. This is the type of game, Star Mobile, he's laughing at me already. This is the type of like fake video game I would see in my weird dreams as a kid. Like, you have a dream. I don't know about you guys. I've always had a dream about video games as a kid that did not exist. Or I would have dreams of versions of games that didn't exist. Like I had a dream that I played Battletoads on Game Boy before that was actually a thing.
That's so weird, man. That's like crazy. You're like a prophet or something.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, or I'd have weird dreams about crazy NES games that didn't happen. Like I would have dreams that I would play like Press Your Luck on NES. And I don't think there was ever a Press Your Luck on any. Yeah. And and the gems, like when you hit the big jackpot on the board, a bunch of gems would appear from like Wizards and Warriors and make you know how you got the Boots of Levitation. It would play that jingle. Like that would happen as you hit the thing on the board. So I was like mixing games in my head as a kid that didn't exist. It's weird.
Man, that's
anyway.
crazy, yeah.
Star Mobile seems like the kind of thing I would make up while sleeping. Which is to say, I guess this isn't much of a game, but I'm really, really drawn to it somehow. It's cool. It's like a puzzle game where you have scales and you just balance the stars between the scales. It's pretty simple, but if this had actually come out for realsies, I would have enjoyed it.
I would have been super into it. However, I'm not really sure how substantial of a product it would have been, because as you say, like, it's really not like that much of a game, and like the concept is super simple, but like actually surviving in this game is a meaningful enough challenge, because I know when I first played it, like I overloaded the scales, so like there'd be too much weight on like one side and all the stars would go like, well, fuck me then, right? So if you let too many
it makes you feel like a fucking ass if you like actually like drop all your shit.
It's like, I'm like, okay, I guess I fucked up. Like, thanks, game. And you can only fuck up so many times before you game over. But like, I think just balancing like these things is pretty fun. I'm really glad there's a color chart for designating how much each thing weighs. Because like, how the hell am I supposed to memorize that like blue weighs this much or like whatever? I never like know.
Eventually, you'll pick it up, right? But it's not super intuitive. But it seems like the kind of thing that would be on the side of an arcade cabinet if you. If it was one, but it wasn't. So yeah, it almost makes me wonder what the X68K version sounds like. Because we know that system has baller ass sound, right? So
it had to have, I think both of those prior versions probably sounded really good. And like this one sounds pretty nice too. It's like got a nice sort of like calming synth in the music. It's pretty cool.
It's the kind of game that I could like Mandela affect myself into believing that I played before. You know what I mean? even though I haven't.
Yeah. My God.
But there's another one. Talk about Devi Pii real quick, because this is another one that I just was completely.
So I had never heard of it. So apparently, like back in the year 1992, Takashi Isuka, a year before he worked on Sonic 3, he apparently designed this game, and he kept a near complete build to himself, right? So like most of the stuff was like sorted out and like done. They're like apparently there were some sections where not complete, but apparently during the development of Sega Ages Virtual Racing on Switch, M2 learned about this game's existence from a programmer who worked on it. So they decided to include this game from after they found out about its existence. So like, what a way of like finding it. It's wild, right?
That is fucking crazy, man. Like, imagine what kind of games are out there that we don't even know.
Yeah, right?
Like, we found out about Clockwork Aquario about a couple years ago, right? Like, we would have never known.
I think we never heard about it. Yeah.
What other secrets are out there? Like the fact that the stuff that remember the stuff we found out in the Nintendo Giga leak? Remember that shit? It's like, whoa.
That's a good example. Yeah.
You know, it's just like, holy shit, we know Nintendo prototypes and makes all sorts of shit that never see the light of day, right? So it's like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, so like, but it's wild just because of how playable this is. I mean, it probably didn't need very much tweaking at all to get it running, right? Because I mean, like, this is a complete product, but at the same time, like, it's also kind of an overcomplicated product in some ways. Yeah. It's kind of like Breakout, but not really. Like I don't know how you feel about it, but it's just, man.
Yeah, it is overcomplicated. Like, to answer your question in a word, yes, it's overcomplicated, but the premise is so critically flawed within itself. Like, I'm not sure why basically it's like Breakout, but you control both sides of the boards. You're bouncing stuff. You're trying to catch stuff back and forth on two different paddles at the top and bottom of the screen. And if that sounds like wild, it is. It's way too hard to do. It's like a game of like, you know, pat your stomach, rub your head, or whatever, you know, I always say. And it's just maybe I'm just not coordinated enough to make this work. But I feel like they should have just done a weird Breakout clone of like, you know, I don't know. I always talk about the Atari game Off the Wall, like the 4-player, like, you know, I'm not saying they should have done that exactly. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to do quote unquote Breakout in the 90s, you need to be, I don't know, man, this is too much for me. I just suck at it or something. I don't know.
I don't think it's just you, though, because I don't think it's the most intuitive, and there's some sections where, like, you use the paddle to, like, hit stuff to break a wall, but then other sections, you're using both the D-pad and you're using the face buttons to, like, move the paddle. Like, you're moving a paddle for each of those right? And it's like you're catching angels at some points, and like I just, if it sounds crazy, that's because it is. It's like weird to like sort of play, but I think it looks cool, and I think it deserves to be on here. But like at the same time, as a commercial game, I can't imagine this would have done that well, right? So maybe that's why we've never seen it up to this point. But
yeah, because like that was going to be my next question. Is it, and you wonder why this is unreleased, and like you kind of just said it. How the hell do you market this? Because like you would have had to market it as like a 2-player game, like only game. You need 2 people to play it. It seems very ill-advised to play it by yourself. And actually, I don't even know if you can play this 2 players. Can you? I don't have no clue.
know.
Yeah. So, but like,
I don't know.
Yeah, but like maybe this could be fun. Like one person has the bottom, another person has the top. Oh baby, and and or maybe like it switches sides on you, like you're not expecting it, or some other wacky shit like that, right? But as just a single person playing this game, it scrolls way too fast for me to keep up with it. So
it's really fast. Yeah, it is very, really fast. And like, you better be on top of juggling, right? So that's essentially what you're doing. And like, it just feels a little too manic with not much reward, I guess. It's like really weird. It is curious how that we just never heard of this whatsoever. Like, you would have thought that maybe like it could have been brought up as some bonus inclusion in some in one of the gazillion Sega compilations along the during the eras, but like the fact that it was hidden though, that's like trippy to me.
Yeah, we just never would have known about its existence. That is so crazy, man. I think that's it for the games. We made it through all the things that we want to talk about, but let's wrap up with a few quick questions, I guess. Big questions, LOL. Better than the first Genesis Mini. YN?
Woo! I think why, but there's some caveats because there's a lot of weird variety and you have to be willing to sort of like get into that, which we are. Right. So I feel like I gravitate towards this one more. Like the CD content really, really helps for me.
Definitely. And the first one like has like so many stone cold classics. Like you cannot argue with it. You know what I mean? Like you can't, but do I want to ever play like Sonic 2 again or something? Like I don't. That's kind of like the problem. But you can't argue with the library that's there. The Genesis Mini 2 is just much more interesting to me. I'll always prefer the road less traveled, I guess. So
yeah,
that's what I want. How do you feel with after all this is said and done? How do you feel about not having those Game Arts titles like Lunar or in our lineup? Because if people think Sega CD, they think Lunar.
It's so weird. Even we thought before the Mini 2 came out that's like it would have been catastrophic that if they weren't included. So I mean, obviously they're not on ours, and like I think like it sucks, but I think the way the lineup turned out is fine because I think it's well rounded enough to make it feel like a cohesive unit. I mean, I still feel the sting of it to like some degree, but at the same time, it's just like it's one of those cases where you kind of wonder what could have been, right? And I guess there's weird rights issues or like whatever the heck, right? But it would have been nice, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think it works out fine. Personally, I don't, like I said, I'm not a Lunar person. I've never cared about those games. I've tried to play the first one a number of times, much like Phantasy Star 2. I just can't get into it. Sorry, not for me. So I don't care. I totally get why other people do. Is there room to do this again with another Genesis Mini? Because they'd have to really not scrape the bottom of the barrel, but they're going to have to get so obscure with it that I don't know, man. I don't see it.
I think it's really hard to come up with an extensive enough lineup for a Genesis Mini 3. However, the only route I can really see is going the 32X route, which is to say, like, we were kind of joking before the pod here, saying that, like, well, I can think of Colibri and, like, Knuckles Chaotix, but like, do those really make up a micro console, right? It's like you gotta really dig pretty deep, and like I guess theoretically you could even do like the 32X CD crap or like whatever, which nobody remembers, but like which I also have never played, but it's like how much of that is really going to be substantial?
I don't know. It would be substantial to us. Like, we're crazy, right? We'll play any like weird obscure shit because we never played it before. We want to know, right?
We will.
So we're always in, but I don't know. And maybe again, that's why they excluded stuff like Lunar, because this obviously wasn't going to be a mass popular system like the original Genesis Mini, only sold on Amazon. So it's like they don't need to appeal to a mass market. So why try? That doesn't mean that quote unquote hardcore people like us don't want to play Lunar. I'd probably give it another shot because I'm a fucking clown. But if it was here, but I don't miss it. So
on the bright side, at least like it's been re-released fewer times than Phantasy Star 2, so at least you've like started and stopped it fewer times.
I even tried the PSP remake, man.
Sorry. I forgot that existed.
Just can't get into it. You know what's embarrassing about that remake before we go? They still have the exact same Sega CD cutscenes in 4x3.
No way,
Yes, I swear to God, they just cut and paste them into the game. They didn't animate new cutscenes for that version. They just straight up used the old ones.
Well, shouldn't they have been copy pasted from PS1 and not Sega CD?
Okay, well, PS1, whatever. It's their old cutscenes. They should have reanimated them because the rest of the game is like lavishly like redone, and then you have these old ass cutscenes.
Oh god, that's still pretty ghetto.
Yeah. Anyway, well, I think we have reached the next level. we have been welcomed to the next level. What do you think?
I agree. We certainly have. We've attained it.
Well,
the curmudgeons have done it once again.
The curmudgeons are on the moon. Wait, what? Join us on Twitter at Fine Time Podcast. You guys know our socials already. We'll see you next time. Bye.